The Volkswagen Group sells more cars than any other car maker, has more vehicles in its range than its rivals, spends more money developing them. But some critics argue that its strength is also its weakness, and too many of its cars are too similar. The T-Roc though, this small SUV, wants to appeal to your heart as well as your head. So how well does it stack up against rivals the Seat Arona and Mini Countryman? In this review we'll find out, as well as what it's like to drive, how easy it is to live with and what it's like on the inside. And remember, if this is the car for you and you would like to buy it but not haggle, go to What Car New Car Buying, where we can help save you thousands. First though, let's see what the T-Roc is like on the road. Most T-Roc buyers will be choosing between the two lowest powered petrol engines, with many of them going for the 1 litre, which is the smallest. Yes, it does sound very small, a 1 litre engine. However, it's got plenty of punch, it can hold its own on the motorway and also A roads, and it's also smooth and quiet at all but high revs. We'd recommend it unless you feel you really need something with more go. If so, the 1.5 litre petrol is worth a look, with the step up in price and running costs reasonable. The bigger engines, again, both diesel and petrol, are more fun but much more expensive, so we don't recommend them. The 6-speed manual gearbox is great, but the automatic DSG, which is standard on the range-topping petrol, is a little bit jerky at slower speeds. Whichever engine you go for, so long as you stick to the smallest wheel size, the T-Roc is one of the most comfortable small SUVs you can buy, soaking up bumps better than rivals, while still keeping its body from bouncing up and down too much along undulating roads. That said, the higher ride height does mean that you still feel bumps more than you would in the lower riding Volkswagen Golf. The compromise for this is that the T-Roc is not as agile as its rivals. It leans more in the corners, and so that's fine for most people, but if it's a sporty ride that you're after, you'd be better off with an Audi Q2 or Seat Arona. You'll immediately feel at home inside the T-Roc if you've spent time in other Volkswagens, but if you haven't, don't worry, because all the buttons are logically laid out, so you will quickly feel at home. How the T-Roc differs to other VWs is you can inject various trim colours here, and there's a bit of ambient lighting as well to really lift it. But you still cannot get away from the fact that there is a lot of hard, scratchy plastic, and interior quality is on a par with the cheaper Seat Arona, which is unfortunate because the Audi Q2 is much more premium inside. If you like a high seating position, then the T-Roc puts you in a higher seating position than both the Kia Stonic and Seat Arona. However, a Nissan Qashqai is still higher again, and in any event, if a Range Rover pulls up alongside you, you will still feel very small. Now, with that seating position and the slim windscreen pillars, forward visibility is excellent. Rear visibility, not quite so good, but great news, you get front and rear parking sensors as standard. To operate the infotainment system, it is a little bit fiddly, and you almost have to study it to really get good at it and hit those buttons on the move. Physical controls are a little bit easier. And if you'd like sat-nav, it's a very expensive option on all but the range-topping SEL, so a cheaper way to do it is to use a sat-nav in the phone app and use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Whatever your shape or size, you are unlikely to complain about the space inside the front of the Volkswagen T-Roc, because the seats go a really long way back and really far forwards, even too far forwards for my 5'4½". And there's plenty of adjustment in the steering wheel for reach and rake. When it comes to storage, we've got large door bins, 2 cup holders here, storage there, something underneath the armrest, and a decent sized glove box. It's a similar story in the back because there is plenty of headroom, especially if you don't opt for the panoramic sunroof, although that only eats into it slightly. In terms of legroom, it is better than a Seat Arona. However, the T-Roc is slightly wider, which means you can fit 3 children side by side in the back quite comfortably. The boot is both large and a practical square shape. There's also some useful tethering points dotted around. On the downside, you can't move the seats forwards and backwards to change the balance between rear legroom and luggage space. And there's also no option for electric front seats, which do hinder the T-Roc's practicality score. Our advice is to stay at the lower end of the T-Roc price scale. So the 1 litre and 1.5 litre engines are very reasonably priced, but if you move up the engine scale or add four-wheel drive, we reckon you'll be paying a price that will get you a much better car. Running costs for the T-Roc also look sensible, with the 1 litre version returning over 55 miles per gallon in official tests. The T-Roc also gets the full 5-star Euro NCAP crash safety rating, and it has notably higher marks for pedestrian, child and adult occupant safety. If you're buying on a PCP finance deal, expect to spend more money per month than the equivalent Seat Arona or Audi Q2. The reason for that, put simply, the Arona is cheaper and the Audi has the benefit of an Audi badge to stave off a little bit of that depreciation. However, it is not quite as practical. There are a lot of trim levels to choose from, and our recommendation is to go for the one just above basic, which is SE, or the one above that, which is design. On top of the standard kit, which includes dual zone climate control, Bluetooth, a DAB radio and alloy wheels, both get extras including adaptive cruise control and front and rear parking sensors. Design adds a wider range of personalisation options and styling accessories, including twin chrome effect exhaust surrounds, contrasting roof and door mirror colours and bumpers with a silver metallic underbody protection. It's at this point that the claim that this is a Volkswagen with a difference really starts to ring true. Overall, the T-Roc offers a great package. It's a smidgen more stylish than Volkswagens of recent years, only at the expense of interior quality. So the end verdict is pretty good for Volkswagen. It's a car that's easy to like, and if you spec it well, we'd certainly recommend it. For plenty more on the T-Roc, including our full online review, head to whatcar.com. And if you're thinking about buying one, go to our new car buying section where we can help save you thousands. But before you do any of that, hit subscribe and never miss another video.